Coming at you with a weird TV in the background and an unflattering Christmas sweater. Hello, my little Santa's helpers. Welcome back to the merriest place on the internet. Today is put up my Christmas trees day, and I thought since I was putting up my trees, I should show you how I put up my trees. This is a fluffing video, how to floof your Christmas trees, make them pretty. Because this is not a happy tree. And we like happy trees. If you're new here, hi, my name is Kim and I'm very merry. I'm just a lady who loves Christmas trees and I'm just here to share the Christmas tree love with you. Feel free to subscribe for tips, tricks, and Christmas tree designs to help you create the tree of your dreams. Tree floofing 101. I always say floofing instead of fluffing. It's just a more fun word for me. I try really hard, I'm not always successful, but I try every time to wear long sleeves and gardening gloves because artificial Christmas trees can just rip you up. They can just tear your skin up. It's called fashion. Christmas tree nerd. My first real tip, other than please wear gloves, is to fluff your tree as you assemble it. So most trees these days come in 3 sections, bottom, middle, and top. However your tree is assembled, I highly recommend you fluff as you go because it's just easier. You just have more access to the middle and things like that. I just set that up so that I could have a cool like before photo like this. Thumbnail right there. Okay. Here I have my bottommost layer. This is probably going to be the easiest layer to fluff and floof, and we're basically going to do the same thing at the bottom that we do at the middle. The top gets a little tricky because they're not in nice rows. I like to start fluffing from the back. Start here and work your way out so that from the middle of the tree out to the end. You're not going to try to be shoving your hand into fluffed things to fluff what's in the back. And a really important component to your tree looking really full and good is to have the inside floofed as much as you can so that you don't have weird holes or bald spots. Some branches like this one here you can see is actually wrapped around. This branch is this long, but it looked like it was only this long because it's still wrapped around this thing. And you can leave them wrapped if it, but I kind of like to undo them in case I am able to get a fuller tree in the middle. A good rule that a lot of people like to start with is to pull 2 to the side and 1 up. Highly recommend. I don't like to end there. I like to start there because sometimes you end up with like a starfish looking situation that we're gonna avoid. 2 out, 1 up. Here we go, ready? 2 out, 1 up. 2 out, 1 up. 2 out, 1 up. 2 out, 1 up, and then 1 just kind of out because that's all we have left. Then I go through and I'm just gonna check it again and make sure I've got people going the direction I want them going. Now a word about the back of your tree. So this tree is actually gonna go up against a wall. So I'm actually gonna end up taking a pipe cleaner and attaching these branches up against the back of the tree so I can get it flat against a wall. If you are decorating against a wall and you really need to save space, I highly recommend you attach your back branches. If it's the kind of tree where you hook the branches in individually, I love those kinds of trees, you can leave the branches off the back to get your tree up against the wall and then shove them into the front and lay them in where you have bald spots and holes. This tree is not like that, so I am gonna end up attaching this so I can get it flat against the wall just to save space, but I am gonna just floof it all so that you can see. Got another branch that's wrapped, and sometimes they're wrapped to hide some of the metal here, up in here. The thread holding that on. You can leave it. If you need the fullness towards the center of the tree, then by all means unwind it. Just check. I also recommend, if you're like me and you have pain problems, sitting down is never a bad idea. Join me on the floor, won't you? Make it work for you. 1 up, 2 out, 1 up. There we go. Okay, so here. This one ended up kind of looking like this. Do you see how this is a little bit like a starfish, right? It's just like flat here. I would angle 1 branch like that so that it's sticking out, not everyone up, because that's how trees look. So make sure that you're watching for that. Also, my tree is on a dolly. I talked about this in my decor haul video, I move my trees a lot. I move them around after they've been decorated and stuff. So I put my trees on wheels because I'm a legit crazy person. You might have to scoot unless you want a dolly, in which case I will try to remember to link it below. I went backwards, I went another one up and then 2 out. That's okay, it's my tree. I can do what I want. Every tree is beautiful. There. Floofed bottom layer. Looking beautiful. I don't know why my TV just randomly turned off. I had a fireplace going there because I hate the reflection. Your girl's gonna go crazy if we don't have that. Thank you. Except you have to be quiet because otherwise it sounds like the tree I'm fluffing is on fire. And that's not fun. Sorry about that. I'm gonna put on the next layer and we'll talk about a few more tips to kind of keep your tree looking real pretty. Now it's gonna get more complicated because we've got all these going on. I'm gonna start at the bottom and work my way to the top. Now you wanna make sure that when you put this section of tree in, the next section, and most trees are designed this way, so you shouldn't be able to screw this up, but if it's a less expensive tree or if it's one that just gives you more leeway, you're gonna wanna kind of watch this here. So this section here, I don't want to put it in the tree so that these branches are directly over these branches. I don't want bottom level branches, next level branches. I want these branches staggered in between them. So instead of tree branch, you have tree branches down below and your next level is going in between them. So you're staggering them. So when you place your section in, keep an eye on that. See, right now it's boom, boom. I want to just reposition that so that these branches land in between. So I'm just going to move it just a little bit. There, so that they fall right in between. That's going to give us a little more fullness. Starting from the back. I starfished that one a little bit. So we're gonna just readjust everybody. Okay, so here's something interesting. This branch is bent. So this branch looks really, really short. You see that? Very short. That's because it's folded in half. So it's actually this long. So it goes clear up to here. So watch for that, especially if it's a tree that you've used last year, years past, whatever. As you attach ornaments and lights and things, they can get twisted together, they can get folded. So you want to be really very vigilant, especially if you use ribbon in your tree like I do. I like to use a lot of ribbon and I very often attach it to the tree branches. They end up clamped around ribbons. Sometimes when I pull the ribbon out, I'm in a hurry, I don't care, I'm putting the tree away, whatever. So the tree branches don't end up unfolded. So I especially have to really watch for that. You also want to keep in mind when you're pulling your branches 2 out, 1 up. This is where I'm not a super big stickler that you have to do 2 out, 1 up, because sometimes a tree branch will just naturally kind of be angled in one direction because of the wire that it's on. So if it's on a wire that's already facing this way, just out of the main metal pull of the branch, you don't want to floof it over here. It's going to shorten it. It's going to bunch things up a little bit. That's just not going to be its like natural flow. And not all trees are like that. I've got some trees where it's the boughs coming out are very, very specific. This one, not so much, but it's something to, like I said, keep an eye out for your tree. Are we getting the low? We're not getting the lows. I'm getting the next branch. See, I do that all the time. I will get going with the bottom and move up one when I move over instead of, okay, so far so good. I skipped this one and was moving on to these. I do that all the time. Listen, it takes a little bit of focus to really get it fluffed really, really well. But just like everything else, you can barely see me on this tiny head down at the bottom, but my info is still good. Just like all the other things that I tell you with the tree, your ribbon, your lights, everything. Once everything is on the tree, the ribbons, the lights, the ornaments, the topper, all the little doodads and knickknacks and balls and baubles, all of it. But once everything is on the tree, you're not going to notice bald spots. You know, you're not going to notice a spot that doesn't have lights. You're not going to notice a spot that wasn't floofed to absolute perfection. Everything's going to work together and everything's going to turn out beautifully. If you can keep these up while you work, it's all the easier. I forgot to do it myself because we're all over the place. As usual, she's a bit crazy. Miss this one back here. Always check before you move on to the next row. They didn't miss one. When you have the start in the back, 1 up, 2 out thing, it actually gets very routine and kind of like meditative, you know? So you just gotta remember to check because sometimes the 1 up, 2 out isn't always best. There we go. I think that lit us up a little more. Might be a little blasted, but we're going for it. Yeah, looking good, looking good. All right, let's put the top section on now. I'm gonna scoot you back, friend. There you go. Here's the thing about the top section. The top section doesn't come in perfect rows. Sometimes there's a few rows, but the very top is just a mishmash. In my opinion, makes it a little harder because you're just less guided. You just kind of have to dive into the chaos and floof. What I'm gonna do is, because this section is so small and lightweight, I'm gonna hold it in my hand and get it started. I'm just gonna start by kind of loosening everybody up, getting everybody down, and oh, sad. Just to get everybody started, and then we'll shape it. Now that's actually not looking too terrible just in itself. I'm gonna add it to the tree now and kind of mesh it in with everybody else and get it looking how I like it. The big top is on. And so now I'm just gonna go through, starting at the bottom and working my way up in one section. Instead of going around and around and around this way to floof, I'm kind of going this way. I tend to miss less of the top section when I do that. So right here, trying to pull these branches, this one up and this one down, okay? Now, if you look at where it's coming out of the trunk of the tree, they're crisscrossed and I'm pulling them like this. So I need to, instead of pulling this one down and this one up, I need to pull them this way, but not too far or it'll create a bald spot. There, see, that's why they were kind of just sitting funny, is because I wasn't paying attention to how they were actually attached to the trunk of the tree. All right, now I'm gonna come and move over here and go up this, come back. I'm gonna go up this way now. Nice, all right, now I'm gonna go the other side. Make sure there are no sneaky branches up against the trunk. So especially in the top, they can get shoved so much up against the center of the tree that they almost end up embedded behind all the branches in front of it. And you can kind of pull it out and you'll have a whole other branch somewhere where you kind of had a dead spot, you know? Now we're just gonna give a once over. See, so I got a bald spot right here. You can even see the kind of silk thread in the trunk of the tree right there. And that's something that would bother me. If it's not gonna bother you, you're done. Like, look back at it. If nothing really bothers you, it's perfect. So I pushed up this branch to kind of help hide that, as well as another one kind of over across it so you don't see it, but that created a bit of a spot here. So I need to go a little lower and just adjust that to make sure that we end up still balanced and even. Keep in mind that if you do end up with a spot where you can just see the bits of the tree mechanics, where it's just a sparse area, no matter what you do, you can't get the branches to fill it in and it's looking thin in this one certain area, keep in mind you can fill that in with ribbon, you can fill that in with floral, you can fill that in with larger ornaments. You can make an ornament cluster. I've got a video here talking about that to fill in the spots so you really won't notice when the tree is decorated. You don't need a perfect floofing. You don't need perfect lights. You don't need perfect ribbon. When everything's on and it's all said and done, it's going to be gorgeous. I promise. My final tip for you is going to be to make sure you stand back from the tree. So I've got it all fluffed and everything. I'm gonna take a step way far back and look at the whole thing just as a whole, the entire picture, and see if there's any spots I missed. This spot right here is just looking a little, everybody's kind of all pointed the same direction. To my eyeballs, you probably were like, what? Or maybe you were like, dude, fix that like 20 minutes ago, and I just didn't. Relax. Okay. And we're gonna look again. I think this looks super great. This is up to standard. I'm gonna get things on it and it's gonna look even better. And you're gonna wanna be fussing with it just like I am now. Don't. Step back. You're gonna get lights, you're gonna get ribbon like I said before. You're gonna have everything on it and it's gonna be fantastic. It's gonna be really fantastic. Please put any questions you have down in the comments below. If I was unclear about something, if I said something that didn't make any sense, which is super often, please ask. I will answer any questions I can. I hope this was helpful. I hope it kind of gave you some tips so that it's less of a annoying experience when you have to fluff your tree. Give it a little love and It's gonna be beautiful. If you want to see how to decorate a Christmas tree beginning to end, I've got a whole playlist breaking down every single element for you. You can click or tap right up here. And for more tips, tricks, and Christmas tree magic, you can click or tap right down here. Thank you so much for watching. I really love you. And until we meet again, sparkle on. Sparkle on.